Hi, I'm Wayne Tuttle, and welcome to Chasing Legends. Welcome back, Chasing Legends. I'm Wayne Tuttle, again your host, which makes perfect sense since we're in part two of a two-parter, so if it wasn't me, it would be completely confusing. Please, before you get any further, hit our subscribe button, hit the notification bells if you're not aware that we do this on Mondays and Fridays. Generally, Friday is live, but we do the Monday Chasing Legends episodes at 4 o'clock Arizona time. Additionally, outside of the subscribe and the notifications bell, hit the comments. We always read, we pay attention to the comments. This is proof of it. You're going to have a series of Monday Chasing Legends where we've taken your requests and are trying to do actual material that you've requested and asked for us. Probably the only channel that really does that and acknowledges you. We're on the lives, we talk to you live, we answer your comments. It's not some guy sitting there putting the video together for the guys. So on top of that, go down there, go off all the way to the end, about section, Legend of the Superstition Mountains Dutch Hunter Rendezvous shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve, black, gray. There you go. You got it all. Enjoy part two of Chasing Legends and maps of the Superstition Mountains. So now we're back with Shoes and doing this stuff and all that stuff and talking about how, there's Goldfield. So we're back in Goldfield Ghost Town, and it's me and Shoes at the museum site, where the museum is right here. And then we at the mammoth and stuff. And then we're doing the assay samples and stuff. And then it's like, oh, okay. And then we sat across at the Bluebird, which I think the Bluebird is right here. I believe the Bluebird parking lot is right here. And we pulled into the Bluebird, and that's where we met Leonard Dan and hung out with Leonard Dan. Once we did that whole section, shot back down, went back to the Gold Canyon Resort to have lunch, because when you're doing television production, there's ridiculous things like, we're on the other side of town, but let's drive clear back across town to have lunch, and then let's drive somewhere else to do something else. Sorry, needed a drink there. So, made very little sense. In the meantime, the day we did the helicopter ride, they had a good idea what they wanted to do. So they said, okay, what we're going to do, Wayne, is we're going to get in the trucks, get your truck, and we're going to drive out here. Sorry about that little glare blip. But we're going to drive out here. We're going to drive by these lakes. So I was like, okay, so this is where we're heading. We're going out by these lakes. And get to the road here. This is the Apache Trail you're seeing, and where we're at. Everything's not looking perfect right here, but we had to go back out there, and I wasn't sure what we were doing or how we were going about this, but this was their idea of, like, we're going to go out here to Apache Lake. So they brought me out here, and we're along here. Here's Tortilla Flat, believe so. So we come through Tortilla Flat, we go up the hill, and then they have me drive for pretty much half a day from here all the way up to up in here. And I drive this way, and I drive that way. And they have cameramen stationed all along the highway. Now, they brought Frank with me, but because they didn't want Frank seen in the truck, Frank got out and got to hang with them. And they would be about around these curves and stuff, and I would actually just drive, and they would just I had a radio in there, and they would tell me, okay, turn around, come back. And I drove for about 3-4 hours up and down the Apache Trail. I go down, make a U-turn, come back, make a U-turn, come back. And that's all I did for 2-3 hours was just drive. Then they said, get Frank in there, so they wanted some B-roll of me and Frank together in the truck. Then I think they put someone else in the back seat so they could have a third head in case Deleel or Magnuson was with us, so it would look like someone else was with us. This is nothing technical with the show. This was just so they'd have the B-roll if we're traveling, that it would look like, and they decided to get that out of the way. So you're getting kind of the idea here of all too often that Magnuson, Deleel, Woody may not have been with us. Frank was with me the most of anybody, and then outside of that, a lot of times I was by myself. So now we come down to where we come in and we sat here and we came in here and then we pulled over and we had a big lunch. And there is pictures I think I've posted where we had lunch. We actually had lunch here. They set up for lunch here. And then we were sitting on the side of the road. There's pictures of us all just sitting in the dirt on the side of the road, waiting to see what we were going to film. And then they took us to the sites down the road here. And this is where we came to basically come off the road. And we filmed up on this hill here. The site that does the alignment of Four Peaks and Weaver's Needle, which is one of those few places that all that stuff aligns and the markers are there and it actually lines completely straight up. So we shot that scene and then we were done. Actually, we did there was a rattlesnake scene here because they wanted to film another scene and we stood over here somewhere out in the desert, maybe up on this, but we stood on top of this hill. And then we all kept turning different directions and they had us saying certain lines or something. And I know it's used throughout the show since we were dressed pretty similarly. You can tell sometimes the dress code changes scene to scene, and that's because they would change things so much that sometimes I was wearing one shirt inside the other just so I could switch, because they'd say, we need to pick this up. Wayne, can you switch to the gray shirt? Because I wore a gray shirt and a blue shirt as an undershirt. So I'd have to change shirts. And then the outside shirt, one was stained, one wasn't, one was darker. And if you really pay close attention, you'll see when they had to say, we need to change this, we need to refilm this today. Another problem was some days it was brighter than others. There was cloud cover, and if there was cloud cover and there wasn't cloud cover, we'd have to refilm and reshoot. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and they brought us out and they told us they wanted us to kind of set up a camp down in here. So we came down here. Oh, got to get this up here. All right, so we had to come down in here and set up some sort of a camp before they went down in here. So there's a gate right here. This is Homeland Security. You can kind of faintly see the gate, and there's some cars. There's very little pull. These roads really aren't much of roads or anything. They're roads for when they worked and put in the lines and stuff, and probably they did the dam work. We came down the hill. Lust for Gold, part of the film was filmed down in here. So that was kind of neat that we were getting to film at that site. But then they brought us down here. Now, my thought was, let's climb up Black Cross Butte. Now, it's not that hard. It would have taken us a couple hours. It would have been tough for Woody because Woody wasn't in great shape then. But up on here, and I'll see if we can actually see it. There is a medicine wheel on Black Cross Butte that's been there for a very, very long time. And I don't know if you can see it from this now. The picture's not going to be good enough resolution. But it is actually up here. You see this kind of game trail here? It's actually right in here. And there is basically 4 lines within a stone circle. It's been up there for next to forever. So that's always been there. And there's these deep, worn trails and stuff. This is a very, very high mountain. This is very misleading. Anyways, that's my idea. There's a way to go up, and then you skirt the edge of this and go up. I knew the way to get up there, so I said, let's go up here and all this. They chose to go the other direction. For whatever reason. So we go down into the canyon here. Now this is known as, if you're in here, this area, this is Mesquite Flats, and this is what's known as Crucifix Canyon because of a whole nothing about the cross that we did in the show. This is where the Bat Cave is over here. We are over here, and we went down the canyons down into here. And then once we get in this general vicinity, we stop and we camp. And when we camp, that's where the gunshot thing is, Deleel with the black hands and all this stuff. So we could have continued on to here. They could have met us because it would have taken us all of a few hours. But instead of traveling this route, which people have, which is a very long route, it's much easier to go in through Mesquite Flats and down into the canyon. Instead, then we go and we decide, and I'm skipping a couple things, but we go down to here to the marina. And we go to the marina and we pull in there and we get a boat here and we go up the river And this is actually the Salt River, and we come around this backside, and then we go in from this direction to the back cave, which is right about in here. It's right up in this area here. So we climb back up into the hills here, and then we climb up into there, which is very rugged. It actually kind of looks rugged as it is. There's a lot of 8, 7, 8, 10-foot like boulders that are definitely a challenge. Problem with History Channel and filming is they wanted us to take the most challenging route sometimes. There was times I was like, let's go this way. Oh no, let's go this way because it's better to film. And that kind of is what we did. Now, in the interim, while we were filming, we were very interested in Fish Creek, which we've always been very interested in. And because of that, Frank and I suggested, well, let's go out the road here, because let me find the road again. This is one of the difficulties of doing this, is I keep losing the road. We wanted to do, okay, so we're down through here, Tortilla Flat, following the road, and then let's go get in here closer where I can see the road. Where is the road? There's the road. So we're following the highway. This is the break off going to Black Cross Butte in that area. We follow this, turns to dirt. There's the windmill and stuff. Here's the pull off for Tortilla, the road that goes to Tortilla. Here is the lookout point. And this all doesn't look that bad, but this is all downhill. This is all the Fish Creek area. Now I'll get it right here for everybody. This is the whole section right here that's been destroyed. The road here is really in bad shape as well. Everything came down on the road here, and then all the elevation change road, there's complete sections missing. So we traveled down here, and we did filming along in here. So we filmed ourselves up and down through here in Fish Creek, and then for B-roll, and then at one day we went off here and went back in through here down into Fish Creek. I didn't know why. I was really excited to go this route because there's a lot of caves and a lot of stuff down in here, and I'd been through here, so I was really excited. We got through in here, and then for whatever happened, we ran out of room or whatever, and I think part of it was the drones. They got back in, and we did a lot of filming walking up and down through these stretches. This is the stretch where I think I've mentioned once, I was going down somewhere in here, and I looked down, and the drone's in front of me, and I looked down, and I saw this rock that looked like it had writing on it, and it had symbols and stuff on it, and it was probably not very big, less than a foot by a foot. It wasn't squared or triangular, it was just a normal rock. But I saw markings all over it, and I realized they had to be been done by hand. And we're right in this section somewhere along here, and I looked down and saw it, and I was trying to look around me, but I have to look at the drone because we're hiking and we're filming, and I was doing B-roll, and I was trying to kind of pay attention where this rock was so I could go back and get it. So wherever it was, because it was somewhere between here and probably up in here, I tried to walk back to it as soon as we finished filming that sequence, and we were walking back, and I could not find it. I could not locate it. I had told everybody about it, and we all looked for it. It was a reddish colored stone. I don't know if it was a map or whatever. I just found it interesting because I could tell there were actual characters had been carved into it. And somewhere in there, I've always looked whenever I go back. Well, now I can't because the road's out. But that was that. So that was kind of basically the gist of Legend of Superstition Mountains. Now there's one location I've left out. Well, there's always a few things, and I will get back to those. So you got kind of the Black Cross Butte, that whole area, and kind of where we went in there and traveled. There was a couple other spots we went to. One of the other spots, kind of trying to wrap this up for you guys, because I know it's a lot. And you're getting to see from the satellite imagery. Topo map would be a lot more difficult to kind of pinpoint these. Is this area of the mountains where Knife Hill is. I'm kind of a little hesitant to show Knife Hill because my problem with Knife Hill is if there's a lot of pottery, there's a lot of arrowheads, and there's a lot of artifacts and things out there at Knife Hill. And what bothers me with Knife Hill is that people would go out and mess with things and cause some sort of problem. and therefore we wouldn't have it. So I would hope everybody would respect things and not take things and leave things. We filmed all through this area, so I am going to do this just because, but Knife Hill is located right down in here. So and this whole area's got all sorts of petroglyphs all through it. So I'm kind of just hoping that nobody messes with stuff. There's a lot of people who've driven around here and a lot of ATV trails and stuff. But we filmed up in this area and then up and all down through here. In fact, the spot where we went up the hill and Woody and Frank stayed down the hill from us was right here. We went up the hill here. And then later when we're at Knife Hill, we're right in this vicinity here. Knife Hill is about right here. So it's kind of an easy area to access and stuff. It shows you the great distance between these places to some degree of us traveling and getting multiple locations. But that is the actual site of Knife Hill. It's pretty well known. I'm sure anybody who wants to find it could really find it. They wouldn't have to take much effort to it. So then we go down through here, and I'm trying to find it because I want to find the site proper. But you're going down towards Superior, and I'm actually not going to show this in here, but we went out to the Silver King mine. The reason is showing everybody the Silver King. It's closed, it's privately owned, and there's a gate there, a chain gate, and Jack San Felice is one of the part owners of there. I'm sure people on record could find it. My only problem, the hesitancy in showing people exactly where it is where people go out there and mess with people's stuff. And there's a cemetery on the way there. Once people know those types of locations, they cause problems. I know Jack and his partners have had a lot of vandalism and a lot of problems out there with people stealing stuff. And so I'm going to actually take that one off. Frank and I did discuss what to put on here and what not. Even though most people could find the Silver King, I'm not going to blatantly talk about it here out of respect for Jack because of the problems he's had at the site. Jack's a friend, and yeah, so I would avoid that. So out here, the Superior going to Globe area, the Silver King mine's out there. And we did spend 2 or 3 trips out there doing some filming. The last scenes were filmed out there that we filmed in Arizona. And we did visit Jack a couple different times out there. We did a lot of filming out there that didn't make the television show. And that was another big long haul trip along with Hewitt. And then, of course, every time we had a pickup, oh, we missed something Hewitt, we'd have to drive all the way to Hewitt and all the way back up. So that kind of gives you the whole idea of the legend of the Superstition Mountains and the filming locations. As you can tell, I mean, we're talking a pretty extensive area that we would be driving through and hiking through. And I think people sometimes go like, well, you know, you were right by the road. We weren't by the road a lot of times. I always find that funny when someone says, we saw them the entire time along Hewitt Road and they never were more than 50 feet from the road. That's BS, and we filmed for 6 weeks, and we only filmed in Hewitt maybe a total of less than 5 or 6 days. So if you're saying that, then that's wrong. The only thing else I would add, because it's kind of a side story and it's a neat story, and I always forget if this is in there, and I don't remember, is when I supposedly meet the Peralta family member. So basically, they wanted me to meet with one of the Peralta family members, but the Peralta family member did not want to be basically on camera, and the Peraltas did not want to be necessarily acknowledged. So down in here, there's a wash, or up in here somewhere, but there was a wash, and it wasn't back in here. It was down the road a little ways. I think it wasn't that far. It must have been down in here. They parked a trailer down in a wash, and I was supposed to meet them in that trailer. And basically what we did was, I go in the trailer and you just hear the audio of me. You get to see me go in the trailer and come out of the trailer. You never get to see the inside of the trailer. Best part about that story is, it was summertime. Remember, we filmed Legends between July and the end of September. So between all the filming we're doing, well, it's basically end of August, and I'm in this trailer in the desert in the middle of the day. It's like 1 o'clock, and we were sitting in there, and literally just sweating to death. And we spent an hour or two in there just talking. And they were like, well, make it sound like, you know, you're going to promise him something or that. They're trying to get something out of us that's not there for the entertainment aspect. But what you have is two people that are just dripping in sweat, staring at each other, just overheating. I mean, it was like being in an oven. It had to be close to 150, 180 degrees in there. Our blood had to be close to boiling. And literally every time you came out of there, you were soaking wet. It felt like you stepped into a cooler just coming outside in the 105, 110 degree heat because of how hot it was in there. So it was miserable in there. And that was just, and it had to be right in here because I know we went up around the corner and we did some filming out in here, out in these washes here, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty close to the production office. They parked that trailer to do that, and I think it was right in here. There's like a lower spot because the production area is here, and there's a couple businesses. There's a pizza place along here, and I think it was past the pizza place. It could have been back in behind here. I don't know. It doesn't look like the roads, but somewhere right in here, yeah, that was where we filmed that spot. And that was a last minute thing. You know, producers and people get bright ideas, and they were supposed to bring in one of the Peralta members from Mexico, I believe. And we were supposed to meet somewhere. It was maybe going to be me and Shoes and them, and then they changed, and it kept changing. And then finally, it's this trailer down in this wash we're going to meet. And I don't know if they were supposed to pretend like I was in Mexico or if they brought the trailer. It's just this trailer sitting there, and I thought this seems ridiculous because there's no concept of why I'm meeting them in this trailer here. But they would do stuff like that and say, well, we'll explain that later. And I don't even know if it's in the show. Trevor? Nope, Trevor doesn't remember either. So it's up to you guys if you remember it being in the show. But we'd spent 3-4 hours working on that. And I don't even know if it made it into the show. So there you go, Legend of the Superstition Mountains, kind of giving you all those filming locations. A lot of the time we spent in the wilderness area via helicopter, but very limited amount of time inside the wilderness area on foot. Most of it was all through the Tonto National Forest. There was the bar downtown. I can't remember the name of the bar, and I'm not even going to find it, where we were shooting pool. We spent an afternoon there. But for the most part, I'm not going to show you Clay Wer's house or Tom Collenborn's house, and I don't want to show the Silver King mine, because if you find it, you find it. But I don't want you to try to access it. I know the Quarter Circle U has a caretaker on site at all times. There's some big dogs. That's at your own risk, and you may not be very welcome there. But I feel that they have gates and barriers and no trespassing signs. I think Jack and the Silver King, I don't know who's there watching it now, but it's kind of a very isolated place. Very, very rough road. But there's just the history back in there and what's happened to some of it because of people unrelated to the TV show, but have known where it's at and so forth, and discovered it and went out there and vandalized and stolen things from there. A lot of artifacts and things. It's really, really a shame, and I feel bad for Jack and his partners that people are like that. So I won't reveal that spot. Knife Hill, enough people have been out there messed around. Please just kind of leave things, like I said, where they're at and how they are. It is what it is. And like I said, most everything else you can kind of tell. I think most people would be able to tell. Well, next up, what we'll do here, the next time we do this, and we'll try to probably separate these with other shows, is kind of run through some of the Chasing Legends stories and the locations, how to travel, how to get in there, and different things. So I kind of put this up together, and I hope everybody was able to follow. I mean, if you have a topo map with Google Earth, you'll be able to follow basically those basic ideas of where these places are and what they are and how we got there, what we did there. So, and I hope that works out for everybody what they were looking for. Like I said, you travel up and through here, you get up in here, and you're going to hit Black Cross Butte in those areas and Horse Mesa and all that, and then you're going to hit Apache Lake. So it's a pretty easy, specific area to be. The dam road is blocked off, Homeland Security gates, and you can go back into these canyons back in here. It's very rough going, a lot of snakes, just so everybody's fully aware that these areas are full of rattlesnakes. So once you get back in here and you get past this, the snakes, we killed, the first snake that we actually, no, the second snake that we killed was right in here. We came back through here, and that's where that snake was. that we had to kind of dispose of. It was right in this area here where we took lunch, and I ended up taking a lunch back in here. In fact, as you're following this, we're up along this ridge line up in here is where Deleel's on the other side of the canyon from us. So it's a pretty extensive area. If you can imagine, and when people say, well, you guys didn't really go that far and stuff, well, we went about halfway back down in this. It was 110 degrees, and there was a whole crew and all of us, and we'd go back in here, and then we'd come all the way back out. Well, I didn't, but a bunch of the guys came back out, had lunch, and then they all went back in here again. So just imagine that as you're hungry and stuff. I was smart enough to bring in food, and then I got an extra hour or so nap. Jesse Hayes, I felt bad for him because they made him stay behind to hang out with me. Because I was staying back in there, I refused to go back out. I didn't see any reason to make that hike twice in the same day. So, but maybe I'm bright like that. And then the second time we came in this way for the Bat Cave and stuff. But I would suggest if you don't take a boat and lodge a boat in here and walk in, come back here by Tortilla. And there's a parking area here where you can come in through Mesquite Flat and cross Mesquite Flat and come down in here. It's a much easier hike than this and shorter hike, and there's trails. There's trail systems you can see here and stuff, old roads that'll take you back in, and you can get back into those areas. It's still very rugged, and to basically go out there and get in knee-thigh deep guano, I'm not sure of people's purpose behind that. If there was any gold or treasure back in there, one of us would have pulled it out. So I think you're kind of wasting your time doing that. But if that's what you want to do, and that's what drives you, and you think you really need to go back up in there, be my guest. It's not a fun trip, and if it's definitely hot, it's very hot. The sun comes down. There's not a lot of shade. There's a few shady spots within the boulders back in here, as you can see. There's a couple spots that you can get some shade during the day, but a lot of this is open all day and you're not going to get any shade once you get past in here, and then you get up the Bat Cave back up in here. So and the way it twists and turns, it's just not a fun place to be. It's very hot, very rugged, and then you still have to always remember, once you get into here, whether you came from here back to here or you came back into here to here, you still got to get back out the other way and go out. So it's a lot more difficult than you think. So there, I hope that's what everybody kind of was looking for and what they wanted. It was much better than me using my finger, using the little pointer, and I hope it's successful. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And I hope it kind of like sets the tone of kind of giving you an idea where we film Legends Superstition Mountains. So there you go. There you have it. There's the film locations, two-part series there. It took me an hour or so to kind of get through it all. Sorry to see the Lost Dutchman store is gone. Wasn't aware of that. Kind of threw me off for a moment or two. But thank you, everybody, for watching these. I hope that kind of suits your needs or fits your needs and whatnot. We tried to find the best way to make this easy, accessible, and so for people to be able to follow. So you should be able to follow it whether you use Google Maps or whatever you do, and kind of pick and place the locations. We will be doing a follow-up series of this, probably a couple parts, of taking Chasing Legends stories and showing you the locations and so forth for that. So thank you for joining us. I hope everybody had a good time, and until the next time, remember, I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're definitely not, and this was Chasing Legends. Take care.